Welcome, good evening to you all. I'm Christopher Broadwell, the Executive Director of the English-Speaking Union, and I'm really delighted to see you here in this beautiful location. Welcome all of you graduates. This, of course, is the celebrating event of a year of folks who have passed through the course of study and enjoyment at the English-Speaking Union Andrew Romay New Immigrant Center, and we are proud that this group is representative of our 2018 class. Founded in 1920, the English-Speaking Union employs English as a catalyst to foster global understanding and goodwill and opportunity for those who need to find a new life. We do that by providing educational and cultural exchange programs for new immigrants, for students, for educators, and for lifelong learners. We call our work English in Action. Perhaps no other program at the English-Speaking Union embodies English in action better than this Andrew Romay New Immigrant Center, ARNIC as we call it, as it advances inclusion, understanding, and empowerment through the English-speaking peoples and language and culture. Since 2012, the ARNIC Center, named after its founder and benefactor, Andrew Romay, has been accelerating and integrating new immigrants into American society through the English language in courses, workshops, and civic events. Since its founding, the center has welcomed more than 1,000 immigrants from nearly 90 countries and has been a springboard to their personal and professional success here in their new homeland. We are gathered today at the end of the program year to celebrate this cohort, if you will, of new immigrants who have successfully completed the ARNIC program. Can I just see a show of hands of those of you who are here from the class of 2018? 166 of you from 46 countries on 6 continents have worked hard to improve their English, learn about life here, make friends, and forge bonds. You've received special congratulatory letters, by the way, from several elected officials, Senators Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, Representatives Carolyn Maloney, Jerry Nadler, and Ndje Velasquez, and Mayor Bill Blasio, I'm sorry. You'll find the letters in your program, and we're delighted to have such wonderful recognition of your good progress. As I join them in congratulating you and wishing your happiness and fulfillment, I'd like to take a minute or two to remember 2 remarkable individuals for their extraordinary contributions to the English-Speaking Union, and particularly this program. It was their foresight and push, if you will, that has us here this evening. Andrew Romay, the center's founder and benefactor, passed away a little over a year ago in February of 2017. He survived incarceration in the Mauthausen concentration camp and a Hungarian communist jail before coming to the United States as a refugee in 1956. After achieving success in business, he turned to philanthropy, and remembering his own struggles as a newcomer in New York, he founded and funded the Center for Recent Refugees, Immigrants, and Asylum Seekers that now bears his name at the English-Speaking Union. I'm sad to report as well that Maria Dora Thornburg, a friend of mine, ESU President Emerita, passed away this past Friday. Doe Thornburg, as we all called her, dedicated her professional and personal life to forging global understanding and vigorously advanced the work of the English-Speaking Union for more than 50 years. She was a member, regional chairwoman, delegate to the international body of the English-Speaking Union. She was our national board president, and she perhaps was the strongest advocate for bringing this ARNIC program into the English-Speaking Union. So we remain very, very, very grateful to those whose vision and life dedication to global understanding has enabled this program to be with us today. And I also want to thank all of the living board members who are assembled in New York this weekend for this wonderful ceremony and for a board meeting tomorrow morning. Let's give a round of applause for them who continue to support this good work. With that, I would like to introduce the chairman of the English-Speaking Union of the United States, Dr. Paul Beresford Hill.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here on this wonderful, wonderful occasion in this beautiful, beautiful church. The English-speaking union is many things to many people, but above all, it's about education. It's about scholarship. It's about understanding, universal understanding, which is why our gathering here in this location is so special for all of us. Our founder was Sir Evelyn Wrench, a very Anglophile Irishman who firmly believed that given the opportunity to know one another personally, that people who shared a common language would soon discover that they shared similar values, whatever their differences in nationality or background. I would say that the passage of 100 years has also created an environment where people can share common values, but they don't necessarily have a common language, and consequently misunderstandings arise. So this is what ARNIC does. We bring new immigrants to our United States closer together with those of us who've been in this country for a while, because we share not only a common language, but a common desire for freedom and unity. And just as Andrew Romay envisaged it, ARNIC is a home to new immigrants, where you are welcome and where you are encouraged to pursue your dreams. A few weeks ago, I attended the International Conference of the English-Speaking Union in London. It was the 100th anniversary of the ESU. And we had representatives from the ESU international membership of 50 nations across the world. What was marked and notable was the fact that the majority of those country representatives were from countries where English was not the first or the primary language. Those were the people who found in the English language a common cause, a common sense of idealism, and an approach to values, values which perhaps even here at our own home are being threatened and which we must not let suffer as a result of ignorance. On behalf of the ESU, I congratulate all the ARNIC graduates and their families for the successful completion of their program. I wish them success in their future endeavors, and I also want to greet all the ARNIC alumni who have come with us today. And I want to thank our donors, our volunteers, our tutors, our instructors, and our partners for making ARNIC such a terrific and such a meaningful program. I'd now, speaking of partners, would like to invite the Reverend Schuyler Vogel onto the stage. The Reverend Vogel is the senior pastor of this Fourth Universalist Society and is our host today in this magnificent space. I just had the opportunity to speak with him for a few moments before this meeting, but I can honestly say that he is a man not only of faith and not only of dedication, but he is a man with universalist viewpoints and a perspective on the world that is all-embracing. And so with that, I would like to invite the Reverend Schuyler to say a few words.
Welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you here at Fourth Universalist Society, and thank you for helping us live out our mission as a congregation that believes in the work that you are doing. When our council member Helen Rosenthal first introduced Chris and I to each other and said, "You all might get along well," it was really exciting, because our values as Unitarian Universalists are all about welcoming the stranger and making this country a more welcoming and inclusive place. Our tradition's a bit unusual. We are non-creedal, we're pluralistic, so we on Sunday morning have atheists and Christians and Jewish folks and people who just want to live lives of integrity and meaning coming here to try to live a life that they want to lead, that respects their individual freedom of belief. And so within that diversity of perspectives, we work really hard to find what we consider the core that unites us. And fundamentally, that core is our humanity for us. The thing that connects us no matter where we're from, no matter how we were born, no matter what language we speak, that we are all human beings together. We all know what it feels like to love, to hope, to be afraid. And so this work is so important to us, that we can be a community and partner with other amazing organizations that help make the human experience a little bit more friendly and welcome, that we can be together and see each other as friends. So we live out this work through partnerships with ESU and through other work with immigrants and asylum seekers. We're very fortunate to have in this congregation a family living with us who's undocumented, and we made the decision to become a sanctuary congregation. About a year ago, in a few months, we welcomed Aura Hernandez and her 2 children to live with us right up there. You will see them running around. Little Camilla, who is about, 16-month-old now, was running around very briefly. I was holding her right over here. And we hope that this is a place where everyone, no matter who they are, no matter where they come from, can find that this is a home. And so particularly as we welcome and congratulate the proud graduates of this program, we're so glad and so honored to be the home for you this evening. Congratulations, thank you all for being here, and we're so glad to be your partners and friends.
And I would like now to introduce our next guest, New York City Council member Helen Rosenthal. She represents the Upper West Side and is a leading voice on issues such as accessibility, gender equality, civil engagement, affordable housing, education equity, and adequate funding for social service providers. Schuyler is correct that it was a visit to Helen that linked the English-speaking union with 4th U, and I'm very grateful that you did that. Helen Rosenthal.
I'm so glad this worked out. Yeah, this is good. One little phone call. So, good evening, graduates and your families and tutors and everyone who's so excited and happy for you. I really appreciate your including me in this special occasion. It's an honor to congratulate you in particular, because this program, English in Action, is one that is so compassionate and so inclusive. Graduates, could you stand up so everyone can see you and give you the applause that you've earned? Okay, I don't know about you, but from up here, it's a beautiful picture. Graduates, you can sit down. Okay. Wow, Schuyler, you really do have a lot of power up here. You can sit, you can stand, look out. So you hail from all over the world, and you're beginning your new journey in America. And I just want to give you a very sincere welcome. It's not hyperbole to say that this program changes lives. And as today's graduates carry on with their individual journeys, what they've learned here will ripple through our society. The compassion, the inclusiveness, the celebration of diversity. These are the things that our society desperately needs today. English in Action could not have done this work here without community partners like the Fourth Universalist Church and its Reverend Schuyler Vogel. If we could all give him another round of applause. Reverend Vogel epitomizes inclusion, service, and community. And as he mentioned, recently this sanctuary became, I was going to say temporary, but is still, home to an undocumented family. You're protecting them from deportation. I'm humbled and grateful for Reverend Vogel and the entire congregation for your commitment to justice. It was no surprise then that when I asked Reverend Vogel about bringing English in Action to the church, he was an instant and enthusiastic supporter. We are lucky to be in a city with a long history of welcoming immigrants. You should know that our city government is in your corner, including the mayor's office, Mayor Bill de Blasio, of Immigrant Affairs, and the New York City Council. And as Schuyler and I were talking about just beforehand, should anyone here need help and need access to services or legal help, please feel free to reach out to my office, helenrosenthal.com, and we'd be happy to connect you with some city services that are meant to keep you here and keep you engaged in our New York City. So I look forward to hearing about all of your successes. I believe in your unique skills and your future here, and that I'm so confident that you'll achieve your goals. Congratulations to the graduates.
And now I'm very pleased to introduce our first class of 28 speaker, Niurka Melendez-Vasquez. Niurka is a community activist, a mother, and an asylum seeker who came to the United States 3 years ago from Venezuela. Together with her husband, she founded Venezuelans and Immigrants Aid, VIA, which supports and empowers the Venezuelan diaspora in New York City.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hello to all ARNIC staff, graduates, classmates, friends, and my family. First of all, I want to thank God because I have achieved another goal. I also want to thank the English-speaking union for giving me the opportunity to talk today. It is an honor to be here and express my gratitude. My special thanks to Carl, because since I became a member of this institution, he has been supporting me and giving me a lot of help. Thank you, Carl. Thanks to ARNIC program, I have gained not just important English skills. I have gained confidence and experience. Those keys, I know, will open doors for professional opportunities to me. Those same keys are yours. As an immigrant, as a mother, as a woman in my 40s, as an asylum seeker, believe me, there are lots of challenges that I have to face, but that won't stop me to do that I have to do today for me and my community. I never dreamed I have to flee my country, Venezuela, and leaving behind my home, my belongings, and much of my family. But instead of giving into it, I decided to move forward. I wouldn't give in, nor will you. When I arrived in New York, it wasn't in my mind to go back to the classroom. But when I decided to do so, I started to join too many schools and nonprofit organizations to prepare myself to get certifications in English and to start again from zero. So if I can do it, you can. Here at ARNIC, apart from the English classes, I have received great support for my organized movement called Venezuelans and Immigrants A, VIA. This initiative began with my husband and I by gathering clothes, winter clothes, for my people, the Venezuelan newcomers who weren't prepared for this cold weather. Then we started to pointing out places where we found help, and sooner they were connected. We connect them with individuals and institutions who still are helping us and holding our hand very tight and guiding us what to do as an asylum seeker, and most important, encourage us. This is VIA's main purpose: bridge the gap, connect, and encourage the Venezuelan diaspora. We work for the community we work for, which is the Venezuela diaspora, to tell them that out there are a lot of people, there are a lot of organizations willing to help us. ARNIC is one of them. ARNIC has allowed us to use its spaces to do workshops, women's support groups, emotional support groups, and has also arranged information sessions that has resulted in the enrollment of a very significant amount of Venezuelan people that nowadays are members of this organization. If I can do it, you can do it. Take advantage of the people who are out there willing to help us. To all members, to my classmates, to my friends, what motivates you? What is your goal? Don't limit yourself. Don't think that because we are a refugee or we are asylum seekers, we cannot do the thing that we must do and should do for ourselves, our people, and the community we belong now. We must stand with each other. Sometimes it takes a little bit of support and encouragement to remind us that after all, there is a hope, and that we have a voice that matters. Our voices matters. Our voices counts, and that we must make use of them. Many thanks. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you.
Our second class of 2018 speaker, Dieudonné Ndje Bayi, is from Cameroon, where he was an accountant, and he hopes to re-enter the field in New York City. In his free time, he enjoys reading and writing, and he's always at the ARNIC House. Welcome to speak.
Hello, everyone. It's scary up here, talking in front of this impressive audience. But trust me, it's nothing compared to when I first came to New York. The weather, buildings, the food, the culture, everything was new and so different that I was overwhelmed for my first 6 months. As if that were not enough, I had to speak only in English, but I couldn't. The next verse highlights what happened every time I tried to express myself. Speechless, stammering, stuttering, overwhelmed, questions mishandled, I lose my breath. Mind is blurry, I try to speak, make no sound, words I want are out of reach, need them now. I remember experiencing getting my first hot chocolate at Starbucks. But what I really wanted was a ginger tea, but I didn't know the words. And from that, I discovered the fear of speaking, the fear of loneliness, the fear of public transportation, the fear of being an immigrant living in the most competitive city in the world. The list is not complete, but the point is that I was more frightened than I had ever been. After that, I started attending ESL courses at Riverside Language Program, and they referred me to ARNIC. During 1 year of scholarship at this secure and safe place where professionalism, knowledge, thoughtfulness, and volunteering are core values, I have met amazing people who have not only taught me to speak, but also have given me the tools to enjoy living in this city. I'm so grateful for having my teachers who helped me to become a better communicator. Thanks 100,000 times, Angela, for igniting the writer hiding in me. Thanks, Rachel. Your smile and your faith in my skills always help me to avoid sidetracking. Thanks, Carl, for being such a good support in so many ways. Thanks to those people who freely offered to take part in our English learning process, I mean, of course, the volunteers. Sorry for hurting your ears. I know we did a lot. Thanks for all the staff, men and women, skilled and capable, who help us achieve our goals and who keep our spirits high. Now the time has come to give way to the next generation of immigrants who are also going to land here at ARNIC, facing the same difficulties, the same fears, and the same challenges that used to be our nightmares for a time. They won't regret this long and profitable trip aboard ESU Airlines, and I wish them the best. We live in the center with heads stuffed with knowledge, hearts full of joy, backs packed with tricks to face whatever challenges in our way. I have a request though. Please keep the door open to help and support those who are just now arriving, but also for us, graduates, who may need some more help and encouragement along the way. Thank you.
I'd like to take 1 second and echo Dieudonné and say thank you to our wonderful teachers in the ARNIC program that have given so much. And I think it's true to say that all of the teachers that joined in the first class of ARNIC are still with us. Can you please stand up for just a minute? You are very beloved. Don't be shy, please. Now, next, I'm very pleased to welcome ESU board member Peter Frey. Peter is a retired partner of TRG Management, an emerging markets asset management company. He's a trustee of J Street and the Tiffany Foundation, as well as the English-Speaking Union. Now, with his good friend, Andrew Romay, Peter founded the Andrew Romay New Immigrant Center in 2012 and is a trustee now of the Marietta and Andrew Romay Foundation. Peter?
You know, when I was listening to New Yorker and Dieudonné's speeches, I was really thinking about what would Andrew say and how happy he would be to know that the idea he had, it's almost 15 years ago, that there simply wasn't sufficient work being done for new immigrants in New York City. He himself had come in 1956, and Hayes had taken him in, as it did for so many Jewish immigrants after the war, and then as he came after the Hungarian Revolution. And he really wanted to create exactly what ARNIC has become. And I think that in his name and his memory, all I can say is thank you for all of you, volunteers, members, staff, for the work that you have done. You know, the Immigrant Center is built on a very simple but powerful idea that wherever we come from, regardless of our differences, a shared language gives us common voice. And through cross-cultural dialogue, we can build a more open, welcoming, and sustainable community. This has never been more important than now. And you know, a year ago, I stood on the same podium, not right here, but a few blocks away, and I said, you know, this time calls for stronger engagement. Well, unfortunately, a year has gone by, and everything that we thought a year ago is even more true today. So the need for what we are doing here together has never been more important. All of us, I think, believe that the American tradition of welcoming immigrants into our society is the basis of the success of the US. I myself came to this country to go to college from Austria, and I've been here for almost 40 years now. With Andrew, we created ARNIC with a vision that is rooted in the belief that inclusive, diverse communities are stronger, more vibrant, and really are the basis for the success of this country. So now I want to talk about what we're doing tonight. I'm delighted that I'm going to lead the conversation on this issue, and we have an interesting panel. We have 2 ARNIC members, 1 outstanding tutor, and 2 senior government officials who work for the state of New York on immigrant matters. So I'd like to invite up, let me just read you the bios, and then I'll invite the 5 of you up. The 2 ARNIC members are Eliana Maria Félix Herrera. She was born in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Last year, at the age of 20, she came to the US, began studying English at ARNIC. Eliana hopes to pursue a degree in speech pathology this year, and she's interested in learning other languages. The second member is Vika Sankarevska from Ukraine. She arrived here without knowing any English, and after a year at ARNIC, she's now comfortable speaking in her daily life. Her goal is to resume her career as a teacher in the US. I won't say tutor of the year, but the tutor that and with a lot of accolades that we're invited to speak here is Margery Spagnoletti. She's been volunteering as an English in Action conversation tutor since 2015. She's a retired preschool teacher and a former pharmaceutical writer. What's interesting is Margery and Vika are a team. They were assigned to each other as tutor and member, and they have formed such a strong bond and friendship that I think we're going to hear a lot about. And I think really is one of the side effects and one of the really beautiful benefits is really what does the interaction between tutors and members, what does it do for both? The 2 government officials, first one is Laura Gonzalez-Murphy. She's the director of the New York State Office for New Americans. Previously, she worked in the New York Department of State, and she's been working on in the immigration field since getting her PhD at the University of Albany. And last but not least, Jenifer Rajkumar, who was here with us last year. She was appointed by Governor Cuomo as the Director of Immigration Affairs, and she's a special counsel to the New York Department of State. Previously, she practiced civil rights law, and she has held different political offices in New York City. So I'd like the 5 of you to come up and join me up here. I'd like to start with Eliana, if it's okay. Don't be nervous, okay? I think we all know that it takes tremendous courage to be a new immigrant. Everyone is on a different path. Everyone's story is different. And each challenge is different. So I'd like to just for you to talk a little bit about your journey. Where did you come? I mean, we know where you came from, but what brought you here? And talk a little bit about the role that ARNIC has played in that past year for you.
Good night. So my journey here has been a little bit tough since I've had to leave my house in the Dominican Republic. I'm not a person who moved that much. I just moved once in my life, and this is the one. And it was completely another environment for me. So at first I was really, really hard for me to get used to everything. The language, the culture, the weather, everything. And I used to feel really, really lonely alone have something to fight for here. I have something important that I could do here. So that's the big impact that ARNIC has had in my life. It gave me friends, it gave me an American mom. It gave me people that now I can go to. I mean, it has been really nice for me to be here. I'm really grateful with all the people the teachers, the tutors, everyone. So it has been really good.
Thank you. Vika, so same question, your journey, and maybe talk, since you and Margery's relationship really is, I think, quite special. Talk maybe about the role of the tutor-member relationship and how this has helped you.
My name is Victoria. I arrived in New York without knowledge. And now I'm comfortable speak it in my daily life. But ARNIC, when I arrived, I decided to learn English, because without English. And I immediately found the first school, and I started learning English in the alphabet. After that, I won lottery and become to study in Riverside School. After that, they gave me direction in ARNIC School. ARNIC School, for me, it's like my home. It's very good atmosphere, very good teachers, very good volunteers, and leaders and managers. Carl, thank you. Karen, too, with me. Yes. And ARNIC, I continue to speak with in the ARNIC with my volunteers, Margery. Thank you. I'm very worried. I'm scared. Okay. My journey, it's my life here. For me, it's very difficult, but I try to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Margery, maybe it'd be interesting, I think, to hear your perspective as being the tutor of what is that experience has been for you working with Victoria, and how does it, how has it informed your attitude, your perception of what new immigrants go through? I mean, you were a teacher, but this is clearly a different experience.
Well, first of all, I love this woman. I'm very, very happy, okay? I'm very happy that I'm retired, so I have the time to devote to English in Action, and it's something that's definitely enriched my life. It's wonderful to see, as basically every week, the person who I'm, Vika, or whoever my other conversation partners are, every week their language gets better, their confidence increases, and so it's wonderful. They work so hard, and I'm so, and I'm so happy to be a part of that. I have been doing this 3.5 years with English in Action, and I have some friends who I see regularly who were partners a few years ago. Our families have become friends, and some other partners have moved back to their home countries, and we still keep in touch. So it's a very, very enriching experience. And I think the program, the ARNIC program and the English in Action it's provided with so much guidance. The orientation was very thorough. We just knew, yes, it sounds like this is definitely something that we want to do. And they have the training sessions of people who are part of the program, outside workshops, printed material, and our wonderful unit leaders.
Perfect. Good, thank you. I'll come back. So let me switch to Laura first. So Laura, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the Office for New Americans. Just what does it do, and sort of how does it, in your mind, how does it fit in with what the ARNIC community represents?
Of course, thank you. And first of all, thank you for ETSU for inviting us here today and the opportunity to share with you what the office is, what the services we provide at the state level, from the services created by the governor 5 years ago. So I have to say we're celebrating 5 years, actually just last month, of the creation of the Office for New Americans, which is a statewide office. And we provide English language classes as well, so it's a strong link with what you're doing and believing, of course, in the value of learning the language to be able to integrate, but most important, to be able to participate in the community that you're with, and that way feel part of it. So it's a value that we consider very important, and since then, we also provide English language services free of charge as well, and confidentially to all status across the state. We also provide legal services, which is right now a very important piece of our delivery of work, meaning attorneys to represent, once again, all immigrants and all needs across the state. We provide assistance with how to start a business, what to do if you've started a business, how to develop it, because we know very much so how difficult it is to not only understand the language, but then all of a sudden we're very entrepreneur, immigrants are very entrepreneur individuals. So what do you do understanding even just the tax code, things like that? So we try to provide that assistance as well. And again, we do it through not-for-profit organizations. We have, again, 27 centers and a network of attorneys that provide support. We are in Queens Library, Asian American Federation, for example, so in a variety, YMCA. And again, I need to emphasize it's across the state because really New York has changed a lot in terms of the immigrant community. We're not only, even though this is the door to the immigration, we're upstate a lot as well. And we're seeing that significant change. So overall, those 27 centers, we provide a variety of other services. One very important to you here, and I want to piggyback, if I know we're tight in time, but one of the speakers mentioned earlier, one of the graduates said that when she came here, one of the important points was to pull people in together to where services were. So I want to appeal here to say, please share about our office, pull people into that, to that provision, and through our centers. One of our staff members, our outreach coordinator, Kyle Lathaide, who's there, is now a volunteer here with your program. So if you see him, please, open up, reach out for those services. And specifically, we're running right now a lottery to be able to help all immigrants that have a green card, that are 5 years have been here, eligible for citizenship. This lottery will assist you in paying that $725. So if you know of individuals that, are eligible for citizenship, well, let us decide if that eligibility, because it is a very difficult thing to know if you are or not, through our program. And it's called Naturalize New York, NNY. So I just had to give a pitch for that because it's 2 weeks from now. And again, through that lottery, you'll get the $725 fee. You'll also get an attorney to assist you in that application. And you'll also get, a lot of other support through those centers. We have the website for it and the 800 number, but I don't want to take the time giving it all of that. But later on, anyone, if you know of someone, reach out to us, or, as I said, our hook that you now have, which is Kyle.
Thank you, that's great. Jenifer, so this is not a political event, but it's hard to escape the environment we live in. So given everything that is happening at a federal level, how is a progressive state like New York, how are we responding to the macro environment that we are existing right now?
So New York State is really leading the charge right now in many ways when it comes to immigration and pushing back on what's happening at the federal level. Governor Andrew Cuomo recently said, if there's a move to deport immigrants, I say then start with me. And that kind of thinking really underlies our programming. So as my colleague Laura had mentioned, we have a network of attorneys. The governor set up the Liberty Defense Project, which started with an incredible investment of $11 million, which was renewed this year. And what it does is it provides attorneys for immigrants who can't afford legal help. And we are the first state in the nation to implement such a system. And we hope that all states will adopt this model. And so that's one way that New York is leading the charge. The governor is really continuing in the tradition of many leaders throughout our history who have called for inclusivity and open borders. George Washington, our very first president, did that. He said that this is not a nation that just welcomes the opulent and respected stranger, but also the persecuted all over the world. Then later in time, Lyndon Johnson, he stripped all racial categories from our immigration statute, saying that immigration to our country should be based not on race at all. So we have that tradition in our leadership, and I'm very proud that our administration is continuing that in this environment.
And we're very grateful that we're living in New York and not in different states. Let me just circle back one more time. So Eliana, two questions. One is, quickly, like what are the major challenges for you today? And you decide how you want to answer that. And the second one is like your own personal goals. Looking now that you have graduated, what's next for you? And I have the same question for Vika.
Last verse, and then so my next goal is, as you said in my bio, getting college, which is really fortunate because I already got accepted in college and got my do my master in speech pathologist. So in 3 years I will be able to do that. That's my next goal. And can you repeat the other question?
What have been the biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge for me has been, I guess, to get the confidence to speak English fluently before the program. But after that, I guess I've been able to break that challenge, is that what you say? Confront the challenge, and now I'm really able to speak to other people in English, and I'm really happy.
You're speaking in front of 150 people right now. Perfect, thank you.
My goal in the future is to become a teacher in my job, because I'm a professional hairdresser and I'm a teacher. I were a teacher in my country. I want to speak fluently, and my challenge for me, a big challenge, it's listening. It's for me very, very difficult. And I try to listen more, and I hope I will do it. Excuse me. I want to say a big thanks our teachers, our volunteers, our leaders, our all staff. And I wish them health and happiness. And I want, very want, that they continue to teach us. Thank you. Thank all of you.
So, Margery, my question is, so you were an experienced teacher when you came into English in Action.
Of 4-year-olds.
Of 4-year-olds, right. So what have you learned about communication and about, or what have you learned about as a teacher in dealing with this group?
A lot of the principles of working with little children or working with adults are the same. It really has to come from your heart. You really have to want to do it. And just the whole conversation is just, it's very, very important and very wonderful experience. One of the things that we don't do, and basically have probably not very often done, is talk about politics, because it just gets a little bit too complicated. But we learn a lot about each other by sharing things that we have similarities in our cultures. And a couple of the main similarities that come to mind are respect for family, respect for each other, and the importance of education. And the differences get really fun to talk about because a lot of anecdotes come in there. And we talk about the holidays, and some holidays we have in common, but we may celebrate them very differently. And talking about food, because that's a universal fun thing to do. And we share recipes, and we sometimes bring in food to try. So it's a wonderful cultural enrichment.
Very nice. So it's a question for both Laura and Jenifer. When we've done surveys over the last few years of ARNIC members, and the number one concern post-graduation is finding well-paying, adequate jobs. So I'll throw it out to both of you. Like, what is the role that New York State can play in terms of helping find jobs, both in terms of New York State is not just New York City. And we know, and Laura and I talked before, that many of the upstate cities of Buffalo and Syracuse and Rochester are great centers of immigration. So I'm just curious about, because this is something I think is quite relevant for everyone here.
Well, it is a tough question because there's a lot of different angles to it. But yeah, in terms of what direct programs we're engaged in assisting, obviously the immigrant community for employment. First of all, at the opportunity centers, we do address the English language as well, like you hear, to assist them in being able to understand the language and apply for employment, for example. But the other key point was the entrepreneurship program that I mentioned that we engage in. We really try to assist at all levels the individuals through representatives of the state in terms of being prepared to be able to open a business. But that's one angle. The other angle is our Department of Labor. Now, one of the things that it's interesting, when the office was created, the consideration that was a thought was, should we put these centers in a state agency, in a Department of Labor, for example, where they can, after they have the English, after they've been trained, they can come for assistance with writing a resume, looking for employment. And one of the first flags was no, because at that time, even though 5 years ago when things were calmer, it was the belief of they'll be afraid to come to a state agency. So part of our purpose to be able to assist comprehensively that immigrant is through an opportunity center. And at that time, you wouldn't see the name of the governor, even though the program was his, understanding that there was that fear. So these centers provide that entrance point as well in connection with the Department of Labor to prepare for the writing of a resume, for the ability to search for employment. The individuals there, as I mentioned, are neighborhood-based organizations. So they're aware of these programs, of the Department of Labor, of providing all of that, but through a comfort zone, through an area. Right now, I must say, and very proudly, that we are now changing our logo to be more with the governor's name because of everything that Jenifer mentioned earlier. The image now, immigrants in New York State do understand that the governor's on their side. So they're more comfortable. We get calls all the time and requests to the governor for assistance. But still, I don't think what will change will be the fact that we will be nested within that community in the services, inclusion with a relationship with Empire State Development, which is another agency that provides funds for the business development, and the Department of Labor. And our own programs and initiatives will still be at the neighborhood-based level, but that link to the state will be provided.
Great. Jenifer, anything to?
Yes, I think that one thing I'd like to emphasize is that we really have been reaching out to forgotten corners of the state, going upstate a lot. We're going to the North Country soon to educate immigrants at the border of Canada, where the immigration services are scarce. And the Office for New Americans has a hotline that operates 7 days a week now? 5 days a week, but long hours, and it operates in 200 languages. So all you have to do is call this 1-800 number from anywhere in the state. It could be anywhere. And you call this number, and it gives you access into the system in 200 languages. And you can be connected to top legal help, or top help of any kind. So it's really such a resource, because all you need is your phone, and you can be anywhere.
Okay. I think our time is up. I've been told, the big gong. So thank you so much to all of you. Thank you.
We are also very pleased to have with us Ann Montesano, Executive Director of Immigration Inclusion at the New York City Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs. Previously, Ann served as the Executive Director of the Office of Refugee and Immigrant Affairs and provided legal services to immigrants and promoted immigrant civic participation. Ann, would you like to come say just a very few words?
Hello, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thank you, Chris, for the introduction. And congratulations to the ARNIC graduating class of 2018. It's your hard work to strengthen your English skills that we're celebrating tonight. Your commitment to learn more about this country will not only serve you well, but as its experience you'll be able to pass on to help those around you. That commitment is matched by New York City. From Mayor de Blasio, the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs, where I work, MOIA is the acronym we use, and the administration, we're committed to your success. At MOIA, our mission is to promote the health and well-being of the city's 3.1 million immigrant New Yorkers, a task that's critical to the health and well-being of our city as a whole. My focus as MOIA's Executive Director of Immigrant Inclusion is to work closely with our city agencies, our sister agencies like the Department of Education, the Department of Social Services, the Department of Health, to make sure immigrants' perspectives inform the city's programs and to ensure that immigrants can access all the services that are available to them. A little bit about the work we've done in the city. The city has held nearly 1,500 Know Your Rights events since 2017, which provides New Yorkers with information about their rights as New Yorkers and connects immigrant communities with important services. One thing we try to emphasize is that city services are available to all New Yorkers regardless of immigration status, because we take our responsibility to serve all of our city's residents seriously. So that includes services like education at our Department of Education schools, access to health care, public safety, immigration legal services, anti-discrimination protections, and other services. One critical service that I hope you've heard of by now is, and that MOIA leads, is our municipal ID card called ID NYC. Over 1.2 million cardholders, New Yorkers, have an ID card that offers many benefits, as well as a visible demonstration that no matter where you're from, if you live in the 5 boroughs, you're a New Yorker. One perk is that over 600,000 New Yorkers have redeemed 1-year free membership at one of our many cultural institutional partners, like a museum or a zoo, which facilitates the kind of cross-cultural exchange that helps make ARNIC so special. As a city, we encourage you to build your English language skills, but we also value the over 200 languages New Yorkers speak. That's why my team at MOIA is working with our sister agencies to implement the city's new local law around language access, which strengthens language access and increases the city's capacity to provide translation and interpretation services. And through the city's work to provide immigration legal services, more New Yorkers are able to receive a free legal free legal assistance to learn about possible ways to adjust their status or apply for citizenship, which puts immigrant New Yorkers navigating the immigration legal system on more solid footing. What I hope you can take away from this is that we understand how hard it is to uproot your life and start over in another country, especially in a city such as New York. But you've seen how your own communities are invested in your success, whether that's in the neighborhoods you live in or with all the volunteers, educators, and partners you've worked with at ARNIC. The mayor and this city not only recognize your hard work, but we are deeply committed to your success. In this ultimate city of immigrants, we stand with you and with all our fellow New Yorkers, regardless of immigration status or the many languages you speak. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Anne. And finally now, it's a very special privilege to welcome our commencement speaker, Dr. Jan Vilcek. Dr. Vilcek, Professor Emeritus and Research Professor at NYU Langone Medical Center, was born and educated in Bratislava, Slovakia, then Czechoslovakia. Dr. Vilcek's work was instrumental in the development of Remicade, the first member of a new class of therapeutics widely used for the treatment of chronic inflammation disorders. Dr. Vilcek and his wife, Marika Vilcek, an art historian who is here with us tonight, by the way, established the Vilcek Foundation, whose main mission is to honor and publicize the contributions of immigrants to the science and arts in the U.S. In 2013, Dr. Vilcek received the National Medal of Technology and Innovation from President Barack Obama. Dr. Vilcek.
Good evening, everyone. I was delighted to receive an invitation to speak at the ARNIC graduation and to address this wonderful group of people. Let me begin by congratulating the graduates and their families on this very exceptional day. I am really greatly honored to be standing in front of you today. As we heard, your program is named after a remarkable individual, Andrew Romay, who passed away last year, I believe, at the age of 95. And Andrew came to this country after the Hungarian Revolution in 1956 as a refugee, and at the time he already survived multiple imprisonments. He was first in a concentration camp, imprisoned by the Nazis, and later in communist jail. And as we heard, having built a successful career in this country, he became a philanthropist, setting his sights on helping fellow immigrants who struggle to navigate their way in a new land. I don't have to explain to our graduates or to anyone else in this room how successful Andrew's project has become. And as we heard, since the founding of ARNIC, more than 1,000 immigrants from nearly 19 countries have successfully completed the program that helped them to succeed professionally and personally in their new home country. Interestingly, there are some parallels between the life of Andrew Romay and my own life. Like Andrew, I am an immigrant, and like Andrew, I survived the Holocaust and lived for 17 years in a communist country. In my case, it was Czechoslovakia, not Hungary like Andrew, but Czechoslovakia, especially the part where I grew up, borders on Hungary. So we were certainly very close in our young days. Unlike Andrew, I had the good fortune to escape incarceration in a Nazi concentration camp or in a communist jail. But a little over 50 years ago, my wife, Maritza, and I made a fateful decision to leave our country of birth. By then, I had graduated from medical school and was trying to become established in medical research. We knew that we wanted a freer and a better life than that offered by the communist system in our former homeland. So we did what Andrew Romay did and what untold millions of people before Andrew and before us did in order to escape oppressive political systems, religious intolerance, or ethnic persecution. We emigrated to the United States of America. My wife and I know today that coming to the United States was the most important and best decision of our lifetime. But at the time, it was not an easy decision. Like other immigrants, we had to leave behind our families, and we were not even sure whether we would ever see them again. We could not emigrate legally because the government at the time would not let us. So the only way to accomplish our goal was to surreptitiously sneak out of the country and become refugees. Maritza, my wife, and I had no savings, and all we could take with us were some clothes packed into 2 suitcases. Even though we carried few possessions, we arrived with a strong determination to succeed. As a medical scientist, I spent most of my professional career in this country at New York University's medical school, right here in Manhattan. I was fortunate that when I came to this country, my knowledge of English was not perfect, but it was quite good, which I owed, by the way, to my mother, who hired private tutors and insisted that I study English when I was a teenager. Frankly, at that age, I would rather have played soccer or hung out with my buddies. Of course, I have never lost my accent. In fact, as I pointed out in my memoir, Love and Science, I even dream in English with an accent. When Andrew Romay became professionally successful in this country, he established ARNIC, as we know. Although what we did was a little different, when my wife and I achieved professional success in the United States, we decided to start a not-for-profit foundation known today as the Wilczek Foundation. The main mission of the Wilczek Foundation has been to raise public awareness of the significant contribution of immigrants to the United States. This country owes its accomplishments in a large measure to the continuous contributions of waves of immigrants, including our graduates today. Our foundation awards annual prizes to immigrants who have made major contributions to this country, especially in science and in the arts. This is, by the way, our way to say thank you for the supportive attitude that Maritza and I experienced when we came to this country as penniless refugees more than half a century ago. We were greeted with open arms, and we shall forever remain grateful for the opportunities offered to us in this country. It is, however, unfortunate that the official attitude toward refugees and immigrants, at least by the federal government, has recently soured. I was very happy to hear, and I didn't have to hear it, but it was good to get a confirmation that the attitude of our state government is very different. Since the establishment of the United States, the United States has been and will undoubtedly continue to be a country whose success is largely driven by immigrants such as you, our graduates. America is, after all, a country of immigrants. As I look back at my life and my work, I realize how fortunate I was some 50 years ago when my wife and I made the fateful decision to emigrate to America. My professional work and the life we have lived could not have been duplicated anywhere else in the world. It may sound like a cliché, but America is still the land of opportunity. And don't misunderstand me, I realize that not everything in this country is perfect, especially for refugees and immigrants during these challenging times that we live in today. In fact, the mission of our foundation is more relevant today than it was 18 years ago when Maritza and I established the foundation. But America is still a country where through education and personal accomplishment, you can rise from the lowest rungs of the society to the very top. America is a country where you can be different, you may speak with a foreign accent, and yet you can become Secretary of State in the federal government. And some of you will remember Henry Kissinger and Madeleine Albright, who both were Secretaries of State, one in a Republican administration, one in a Democratic administration, who were foreign-born. And you may even be totally ignorant of baseball, like myself, and still do pretty well in this society. That, to me, is the American dream. Congratulations to you, the graduates of the Andrew Romay New Immigrant Center at the English-Speaking Union. May this day mark the dawning of a great journey for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Viltek, for that terrific address. That's it. Before we ask you to leave, we asked the ARNIC graduates, please, to come here on the steps for a group photo, and we ask you not to forget to take your certificates and a little goodie bag as you leave. So everybody, thank you very much for your support, for your attention, and for another good year of ARNIC. Thank you so much.